Regular meeting of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation to be held today, February 11th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. in the East Mezzanine of City Hall Plaza, 72 West College Avenue, San Angelo, Texas. For the purpose of considering the posted agenda items, this meeting is called to order at 8:30 a.m. and our invocation will be delivered by Pastor Tamara Straley-Hubert from Sierra Vista United Methodist Church. Welcome.
Thank you.
Pastor,
Good morning.
we're glad to have you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I invite you just to take a moment, take a couple deep breaths. I know you've all kind of hurried to get here, and let's just take a few moments of silence before we enter into time of prayer. God of all creation, you provide us with meaning, purpose, and influence. Thank you for the work of this board. Guide them in the decisions they make this day. Grant them your wisdom and your favor to continue to use their influence to promote the economic health of this city. Grant them creativity in their work. May they see new and out-of-box opportunities that will bless all the citizens of San Angelo and those who will be moving here in the future. May they be a voice for not only those of power in our community, but more importantly, a voice for those who have little power, influence, or say in the decisions that affect their lives. We offer this prayer in the name of Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Pastor Tamara Straley-Hubert from Sierra Vista United Methodist Church. All right, let's move to public comment. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens who have registered for public comment prior to the start of this meeting should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items from citizens who have registered for public comment prior to the start of the meeting. Mrs. Navarez, do we have anyone registered for public comment?
Yes, sir. Jamal Shumpert.
We'll welcome Jamal Shumpert to the podium.
Good morning, Jamal Shumpert, SMD3. Today I had an idea about a quality of life improvement. In the past, y'all supported Parks and Recreation in some of their projects. I think if we built cabins at the lake and phased it out to where eventually you could build homes. Some of these cabins may not have to have water or sewer to them. You could just be called a rough cabin. That's what kids are into these days, kind of roughing it in the wild. I know it isn't really the wild year-round stores and all, but that's kind of a thing that's been going for about 10 years now. Beyond that, the cabins, if you do add water to them and electricity to all of the cabins, then you'll be able to move homes out there without having to put water pipes. We're having a problem now with our water department coming to ask you guys funds for a water pipe out there at Twin Mountain. I understand them trying to get economic development going, but it's better ways. This way they'll have money building our cabins, and we'll have cabins where we can make the money back, rent them out year round. Parks and Recreation can actually manage that, and they'll have more money in their budget. Beyond that, some of your citizens can't go 2-3 hours to a campsite. It'll bring it right there to them, for them. Another issue I would like to talk about is the affordable housing. I know everything is well-intentioned, but we do have a job to monitor our partner, and I don't think we're monitoring them because our information requested some information that the city should have had, but we did not have that. I'm just here to tell you guys that so that you don't go down the road and you get reports saying, oh, well, this happened, and you're asking, why didn't anybody tell me? Well, I'm up here telling you now that Neighborhood and Family Services cannot monitor what they cannot see. So they don't have records to monitor from 2023 to about now. I ain't gonna take up too much more of your time. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
We appreciate you coming to the podium and offering your comments and your thoughts, always very thoughtful and very intelligent and well brought. Thank you. Is there any desire from the table to put any of that on a future agenda? We will revisit that later in staff. Items on the consent agenda will now be considered. Those items include considering the approval of the regular meeting minutes from January 20th as presented by Nora Navarez. Ms. Navarez, do we have any public comment there?
No, sir, we do not.
We'll now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have other questions or discussion from members of the board? If you are in favor of the consent agenda, will you say aye?
Aye.
If not, will you say nay? Any abstentions? And it is done. Now we'll consider our regular agenda, which is first considering appointing a president, first and second vice president to serve unexpired terms. And Director of Economic Development, Ryan Gaddy, will come and talk to us.
Good morning, Sanangelo Economic Development Board. This item is to consider appointing a president, a vice president, and a second vice president as a result of some personal situations. So I'll turn it over to you, President. And
Thank you, Ryan. The chair would recommend that first Vice President Mahaffey be nominated to serve as the new president of the board. Second Vice President Rodriguez move into vacated first Vice President's seat, leaving room for a nomination from the table to fill the second Vice President's role. Do we have any nominations?
Yes, I nominate Lorenzo Lassiter into second vice president.
Second.
Any other nominations? Are you able to serve, sir?
Reluctantly, yes.
I remember that. All right, so it looks like we have a full slate then. Mrs. Navarez, do we have anyone registered for public comment?
No one's registered.
We have a nomination on the floor. Do we have any other questions or discussion from members of the board? If you're in favor of approving the nominations as presented, will you say aye?
Aye.
If not, will you say nay? Any abstentions? And it is done. And at this time, I will turn the meeting over with confidence and gratitude for his service to your newly elected chairman of the board, President Mahaffey.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Rick, you've served this seat very well. These are going to be some big shoes to fill. You know, you always operated under the philosophy of transparency is key, and I plan to do the same. I think it's very important that we are fiscally responsible with these tax dollars, and we ask the tough questions at times. And, you know, ultimately, we do what's best in the interest of our taxpayers. So appreciate you setting that tone. Appreciate your work. So with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Item B, consider approving December 2025 financials. Presentation by Tina Diersky, Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Board. Tina Diersky, Corporate Treasurer. I'm presenting your first quarter financial statements. We ended the quarter slightly over our sales tax revenue budget, which is good news. And sales tax revenues performed fairly well this year. The sales tax for December was up 5.7% from the previous year, and it's up 4% for the same quarter of last year. January saw a slight increase as well of 0.34%. On the balance sheet this month for economic development, there's about $12 million in cash and investments. And I also want to point out that there's currently about $7.6 million in your unassigned fund balance. On your income statement for economic development, you'll see that sales tax revenue remains healthy at about 1% over our budget. We did make a payment this month for the city staff services agreement. And under the business factory, we had a couple payments go out to some of the winners of the business plan competition. And on the balance sheet, you'll see here we have about $18 million in cash and investments. We've assigned the entire amount of debt service that will come due for the year, and there's currently about $12.9 million in the unassigned fund balance here. And on your ballot income statement, again, seeing that sales tax performance is good, the investments are strong as well, about 8% over your budget, and on the expense side, some payments for city services and affordable housing. With that, I'll entertain any questions from the board.
I just have a general question. There's debt service associated with the ballot side. Do we have the ability to pay down principal with the debt that we're paying on?
Really, the only opportunity that we get for that is if we do what's called a refunding on a bond.
Okay.
And that's the case where the interest rates have come down enough from where we bought the bonds initially.
Yeah.
That it's worth, kind of like if you were
Reissue.
to, remortgage your house or something
Yeah.
like that, where it would be worth it. So
Okay.
that's really the only opportunity we have to pay down principal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we approve those formally?
Yes.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the financials as presented.
Move to approve financials as presented.
We've got a motion, second? Second, Director Lassiter. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Move on to item C, presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Division's marketing and recruitment plan and associated professional services agreement, including possible financial considerations. Presentation by Steve Lanius, San Angelo Chamber of Commerce.
Hey, everybody, I'm not Steve. Steve's sitting right here. I'm Michael Looney. I'm the VP of Economic Development. So anyway, appreciate you letting me have a chance to visit with you all this morning. As you know, we've had some changes over at the Chamber of Commerce personnel, and what I wanted to do was open it up to conversation, presentation on what our go-forward plan looks like. In front of you this morning, I put a narrative about that go-forward plan, and if you look at page 3, you'll see an organization chart that shows where the personnel will be, who it is. 4, thank you. It's the graphic. The KPIs are our biggest driver, and that is under contract between the Chamber and the San Angelo COSA DC. So we are continuing to focus very dedicatedly to that. That does not change our plan of action. I do have copies of the plan of action with me. If we wanted to review that today, or if we wanted to review that at the workshop this afternoon, we can certainly do that. That doesn't change anything. Everything continues to move forward. The basic mission it continues and has never missed a beat, and that is 2 things: business retention and expansion of local and incumbent businesses. These are industrial businesses that are NAICS code qualified for direct assistance from the COSA DC. And then forward-facing recruitment of new industry to San Angelo. And that has never stopped, and that will not stop. The position that we are going to fill, we're calling an Associate Director of Recruitment and Retention. This would be a person who would be a full-time position that would assist mostly with the business retention and expansion, that is the maintenance of relationships with the companies that we have, the enterprises we have currently in San Angelo that fall under the NAICS code qualifications. NAICS code, for those who are new or don't understand that stands for North American Industrial Classification Code. That is promulgated by the state, and what that does is those are different industrial categories that are open to receiving funding from a development corporation in an incorporated city. Meaning that there are businesses that the state does not allow the development corporation to assist financially. Now, they can assist in other ways with classes and programs and clinics and workshops and guidance. but the actual tax dollars are not available. And that would be retail, restaurants, things like that. And the thought behind that, the key behind that, is that these NAICS code qualified companies are what they call primary job creators. So let's say if we recruit or we expand an existing industrial manufacturer, those people who work at that industrial manufacturer are participating in the importation of capital into San Angelo and the exportation of goods or services. So import or export is a good way to think about, does a company qualify as a NAICS code compliant company? This position we're envisioning would be a more active, outside, external, forward-facing position that would assist my position with maintenance of regional and external relationships. And the reason that's so important is because as San Angelo continues to grow, as our geographic location becomes of more interest to more investors and more companies that want to be in that central Texas, if you will, term that I heard that I didn't coin, but I use it a lot, the Austin orbit, that central Texas orbit, San Angelo it's being discovered, and it continues to be discovered. So the volume of companies and enterprises that we're talking to and working with continues to increase really every quarter. So that is essential to have somebody that would be able to help curate those relationships. I would probably be in the position to take them once they mature onto presentation to the Development Corporation, and then bring them to a closing. So that's the basic plan. This would be I've had this in other lives. I've had this kind of an arrangement where I was more of the division leader, and we had younger broker scouts that were out in the field and just generally assisting with the entire effort. It's somebody that's going to need to be very, very comfortable with an outward facing and be very conversant with selling the story about San Angelo. And we have several people that are in mind now. We have not been publicly advertising for that position yet. And one of the reasons is I wanted to get that conversation open with you. The Development Corporation is our main client. We do most of our work on behalf of the Development Corporation. We do have an MOU with Tom Green County, so we do act as the de facto economic developer for the county as well. And then, of course, we do receive about 1/5 of our funding through self-raised funds, and that is through our Cornerstone program, which is our private investment, membership-driven economic development investment fund. Are there any questions at this point?
Excuse me, I do have a question. You've talked about kind of two primary sources of opportunity within economic development. So I'm going to broadly categorize external as businesses that may be coming into San Angelo that are new to our community.
Or to add to that, or that we are interested in seeing if they are interested in coming in. So it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily an intercept because they're outside the city or foreigners. Right. But yes, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
But new to the community.
New to the community. That's right.
And then
yes.
And then the BREP program being the expansion and growth of businesses that already exist within our economy.
That's right.
So can you give us an idea of what, when you think about a balance of activity, if you look at our financials, we've got about half a dozen projects in our pipeline for each of those initiatives. Is there an ideal balance or an expectation of volume of business between those two vastly different lines?
Yeah, it's probably about a 60-40. 60% business retention expansion, 40% external recruitment.
Okay.
And that's not necessarily by design. That tends to be just what we've tracked over the years. I've been here 11 years, and that seems to be a pretty good breakdown of the balance. So, close to half and half. One of the keys to the business retention and expansion effort, and one of our platforms that we designed in 2017 is the SARMA, which stands for the San Angelo Regional Manufacturers Alliance. And we're also involved with an organization that kind of models the San Angelo Regional Manufacturers Alliance called the CVTA. We did not start the CVTA, but we were part of a team that wanted to create an outreach effort to the technology sector. And so we and the board, the CVTA board, used the SARMA lessons learned and the model to create that. So what you have is you have a technology trade association, and then you have, which the chamber partly funds, and then you have the manufacturers trade association. That is really a BRE effort. So these are companies, these are individuals, these are enterprises that have an established presence here in San Angelo already. Working with them, conversing with them, meeting with them, collaborating with them almost always leads to opportunities to outreach to companies that they work with. So kind of like suppliers and companies that they will partner with, which gives us the opportunity to approach them and see if we can bring them into a more permanent, durable presence in San Angelo. So the BRE effort, a lot of times we will spend time with existing enterprises, and they like us, we like them, we like what they do, they're very stable, they have a good marketplace, but they don't really need anything from all of us. They're pretty static, they're rolling. But one, it's good for them and for their leadership to understand that we are on point and available. And those calls will come in probably monthly, where we'll get companies that will reach out to us and want to more deeply explore different options for expansion or for workforce development, and or for potentially seeing if we can help them build new markets regionally and extra regionally. So the BRE effort and the recruitment effort kind of run really in tandem. And I would say probably 45 or so percent, we did a breakdown about 2 years ago of how many recruitment efforts that we brought into San Angelo that were successful, that landed here, were related directly to some existing enterprise that's already here. So we think that it's important for us as a collective team to not bifurcate the two and think that they're really very different. And we also find that in several instances, we've had existing incumbent enterprises, industrial enterprises, have actually helped us to recruit those suppliers and those sister companies from Oklahoma, Arizona, and Pennsylvania to San Angelo. And we find that they kind of help us, even if they're bringing in another enterprise that's kind of a competitor, but they do have some commonalities. We've really been intrigued to find that there are many enterprises, incumbent enterprises here, that even though they might be bringing in a potential competitor, possibly someone or an enterprise that could deplete their workforce, they're willing to take that chance because they're patriots to build San Angelo. And we find that quite refreshing. And so we don't have any problems with that at all. But it's probably about a 60-40 split.
Okay.
In your rep program, what do you find is the percentage of those who seek help who don't fall into the NAICS code that we can help with?
Probably be about 20%, because, and the reason I say that is because most of the companies that we approach, we know if they're NAICS code qualified because we look them up, or we just know it historically. There are some companies that may not have a qualified NAICS code because they've expanded their business or their manufacturing line, and they just haven't gone through the process of updating their NAICS code. So we don't use the NAICS code as a litmus test because it changes. And there are a lot of companies like Rosenberger, which is a company that I've spoken about several times over the past couple of quarters. They have like 8 NAICS codes. And so what they do here falls perfectly under a qualified NAICS code, but then they have some other contact and technical support centers that maybe are kind of on the fence. So we explore that with them. But if we think they're not a NAICS code qualified enterprise, we're going to go talk to them and meet with them anyway. That's a more simple, open and democratic way of doing it. Because we don't want to leave anybody out. And there are a lot of instances, Rick, where we will meet with a company and we know that they're not a manufacturer, but they're related somehow to Well, to the economic and industrial development effort. But they don't really need investment from the development corporation. They need SBDC help. They need Howard College to do a co-program with them. And so we approach that too, because all of it adds up together. Like, for example, we were very instrumental with helping the recruitment of a skilled nursing facility. That's not a NAICS code qualified industrial developer, yet we introduced them to Howard College. We introduced them to the county, to the city. We worked with them kind of step by step over a 10-year process. And now they have a 52,000 square foot, $17 million operation on YMCA Drive, a beautiful building that helps the effort within the healthcare community, which bolsters their relationship with Shannon. And so, yes, to your point, it's not just exclusively steel, technology, manufacturing, transportation. We will look at all those different types of companies and figure out ways that we can all collectively help them get to that next rung of the ladder.
Everyone's looking at me.
Then I want to go ahead and, they always say follow the money, and I want to get down to the money. As you know, 11 years ago, when you came to San Angelo, I was chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce at that time. And I left that position and was your chair on the Economic Development Committee at the Chamber. You and I have worked together for a long time.
Indeed.
I have enjoyed watching your growth and being amazed at how you have developed your own place in this city and called it home. Have been very impressed by the work you've done on our behalf as well. So that having been said, when we funded the Chamber of Commerce's Economic Development Program, there were a lot of things on the wish list. Two of those were two salaries that almost took up the entire ask or the entire give by the Development Corporation. Obviously.
And that was one of the pillars underneath the ask.
Right.
That's right.
Obviously, one of those salaries will go away. How do you expect to utilize that money now? I don't expect to change that money, so how do you expect to utilize that money now to continue to do your job?
That's a great question, and we've thought a lot about that. This is not necessarily a declaration of intent, but our thought is probably 75% of that salary tranche would go to replacing that person. Probably. Going to depend on the individual. It's going to depend on their skill set. The balance of that we would deploy out to contract labor. And the reason I say that is because there are several functions that we actually presently use that can handle, for example, our analytics. Another function that we have been paying for out of the chamber funds and even the Cornerstone funds has been a regional civil engineer who can do quick studies and quick, very rapid deployment site surveys of different areas within the city and sometimes even within the county for us to deliver along with our offer package to various companies. And we've done that on a number of occasions, as opposed to that enterprise fully engaging a local civil engineer. We have somebody on contract that can produce non-certified site surveys that give an idea of where the infrastructure, transportation, and the footprint of these facilities might look like. And we find that to be a force multiplier.
Mike, let me interrupt real quickly.
Yeah, go ahead. I was done.
As I recall, in the agreement, outsourcing the labor for the economic development effort is not allowed in the funding that we provided.
Well, we use the Cornerstone Fund for that. So if we need something, like what I just mentioned to you, the civil engineering team or person that we've used before, and that's on an ad hoc basis.
So is that a different definition of how you would use that person? Is it not outsourcing and I'm just misunderstanding?
Yeah, it's not like we'd be bringing on a team member. It's just a function that we sometimes will need to fund in order to get those services.
So let me ask, if it would be, and I hate to keep interrupting, but
You're fine.
would it be better use of the funds to hire several people under that salary that is going away, to do several parts of that job and expand your team?
It could be, and that's something that we are continuing to look at. And I think that's going to depend on the individual's interest. Do we have somebody who wants to go in full-time? Do we want somebody who just has their career and they want to participate with us on an as-needed basis? An example to kind of add to maybe helping think this through is several of the sources that we utilize for market analytics. We would intercept that information and then run that and assemble that internally. These two companies that we currently pay for their data, they have the ability to generate that material as well for us. And they do it for many economic development and operations throughout the country and municipalities. So the fees that we pay for that data, they can also create whatever they want us to see in what kind of a format. So that solves that issue. It is very possible that we find somebody who can pair up with me in that position, and we're going to have to go north of where we might think that salary should be. Probably wouldn't breach what the former person in that position earned, but it might get close to that. And again, it just depends on who that person is. So the answer is we don't have a name or an individual at this time, but we are wanting to discuss it with you all too, because we think that, in that time frame where, I mean, we've had two significant changes to the economic development effort for our community. We've had an economic development director for the DC retire after 4 years. We have a new one here. And then we had the departure of a teammate of mine. So that's one of the things that the director and Bob Sheeman and I have discussed as of last week. Are there commonalities? Are there lift shares that we can work on together? You know what I mean? So I mean, because the former director had another full-time gig as well. So that limited that person's ability to get down into some of the more granular and heavy travel type outreach. Well, now that's changed.
As I think I made clear when we were going through this discussion before, I'm not interested in telling Chamber how to run their business. What I am interested in is how you plan to bring us the results we expect for the money that we fund.
Sure, of course.
And so I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, but I am telling you that we're very interested in getting that job accomplished.
And we are
We're
too.
giving you the tools that you need to do it.
As you said in your preamble, Rick, this is not just a job and a paycheck. I am not an itinerant economic developer. My sector is filled with a lot of those, and nothing against that, but you get the 3-year, 4-year, move on, 3-year, 4-year, move on. This is my home. I want absolute prosperity for our community, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to give up on that. And and that plays a role. I mean, when you're philosophically and mentally totally committed to the growth and prosperity of our community, and you understand the nuances of our community, you don't have to relearn those nuances in another community. And that's why I think that we will have somebody who will join our team who will be very informed, but we want somebody who is interested in the business and very interested in the mission of growing and thriving our community. I don't want somebody who just fills the position. The first question I will ask that person, and have in the past with other positions, is, does the craft we're talking about, does it interest you? And that's a very tough question for some people to answer. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm really great at it, and I know I'll do good. Yeah, but are you interested in it? You have to be really interested in community development in order to carry on, because it's very dynamic, tough work where you have so many different factors that come from so many different directions, and you have to respond really quickly. You can't wait. And so that's going to take, it may happen. We have 3 people that we are thinking about right now that we think would be a great fit, but we wanted to take a minute, pump the brakes a bit, and make sure that we make the right decision. Again, having new leadership at the DC does play a role.
I'm done interrupting.
Please, Rick, always enjoy talking to you. And again, that's our philosophy. This isn't just presentation, here's our wares, what do you think? And I think that's something that's important for the community to hear. This is a collaborative team effort, where it's not just the power of 1 or 2 people at the chamber, it's the power of multiple people all working together. And that's a force multiplier. And you know who really notices that? The customers. The companies that we are currently working with that we're not able to announce yet are amazed at the collaboration between city, development corporation, county, development department, mayor's office, chamber of commerce, workforce development board, Howard College, ASU. We bring all of them under the tent into the command center to work together. And it's very different in a lot of communities where there is pride-based siloing, and you can't penetrate those different silos. I mean, one of the things that we hear about a lot is from the customer. It's not us. It's amazing that city and county work so elegantly together, seamless. That is a huge force multiplier that the customer notices, and that's what we want. Because at the end of the day, it's about them, the customer. The new company that could move here, the incumbent company that makes the decision at a much higher corporate level outside of San Angelo to go forward with the San Angelo expansion. That's who we're really wanting to impress and help.
You've touched on personnel, and I think it's pretty clear to me and probably the rest of this board that the agreement that we have in place with you guys could not be accomplished with you alone.
It's just too much volume.
There's way too much
And that's
work.
a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I recognize, I think we all recognize that you need more help, that you need more bodies, you need more time to commit to this effort. You touched on collaborating with the DC staff,
Yeah.
and maybe leveraging some of their time and assistance in this effort. And I think that would be a wonderful thing to consider and incorporate into this overall plan. One of the things that I think I'm a little bit concerned about, or just don't understand how to address, is structurally, how do we define those roles in a way that there's some sort of measure for the performance of and the time. You know, if you're asking for Ryan's efforts on something, you know, how many hours is that? And does the job that he's filling allow him?
Does it allow for it?
To
That's
spend
right.
those
That's right.
hours? And then how is that managed? You know, Ryan was hired by the city manager. So does he report to the board here, or does he report to the city manager? And if you're having problems getting work done, how do we address that issue? I mean, I'm saying all
No,
this
I think it
because
makes perfect sense.
It's just a
Well, my
management.
position's easy. My KPIs are tied to you via the 2026 plan of action.
Right.
I have it easy.
Right.
And I understand that there could be a varying level of different directors that could have some influence on what those results are.
And you see my point.
Great question.
You've got these KPIs. You have this expectation and this plan of getting support from staff members, and all of a sudden they can't provide the support that you need, and then you're coming back to us and saying, I can't get the support, I can't deliver on the KPIs. What do I do?
Yeah.
What do we do? What authority? What role do we have in trying to fix
I don't
that
know, man.
problem? So I think that's one of the
The president's
challenges
sitting
that
right
I
over here.
feel
You
like
could
we kind of
ask him.
to consider as a board as we evaluate this.
Yeah, and I think that's the genius of it, is yes, to your point, that ability to communicate openly.
Yeah.
I think that, and the way I've always operated, and the public should hear this, you can't over-communicate as a team when you're involved with such a critical mission.
Yeah.
Forward-facing economic development. You can't over-communicate, and it takes a team. It takes a true team. How are the divisions of labor separated? How are those KPIs tracked? It's probably pretty simple. It probably isn't as complex as it sounds, but it's certainly something to track and to monitor, and therefore that consistent communication and team approach will inform that as it evolves. Very well may be in 36 months, the Austin MSA is just plain full, and we have a herd of companies coming over Concho County at us, and I'll be coming to you with Ryan saying, I need 3 more guys, and I need them in I need them in 2 months. That is very possible. That is extremely possible. But right now, we're managing with what we've got. Obviously the contract, well, not obviously, maybe someone who's listening doesn't know, it has a clawback provision, so if there's any unspent taxpayer dollars, we just adjust saying, hey, guys, we didn't use this funding, didn't have a way to deploy it, we're not gonna just go buy copiers and find a way to deploy it, we're not gonna do that. It's our money too. So we're gonna make sure that it's refunded back into the DC. We examine what our go-forward's gonna be for 27, or the rest of 26, and we continue to move forward and we pivot as needed.
So the last question I have, looking at this org chart that you've provided, obviously the Associate Director of Business Development and Retention, you've mentioned that would be probably a new position that you fill.
Yep.
Coordinator of Site Development and Infrastructure.
That's on a contract basis, and what we found is that a lot of the companies and enterprises we work with, and scouts and site selectors, they like the San Angelo story, they like the property surveys that we send to them, they like the interpersonal meetings with city staff, developer staff, but they also like a lot of infrastructure mapping and seeing how their facilities could fit within the community, what part of the community and where in the community, and what would transportation, infrastructure, natural gas lines, high-powered KVA lines, things like that. And we kind of always expected that, well, if they're a site selector or if they're an enterprise that's looking somewhere in Texas for a new location, they'll know that. They don't. Because a lot of times we'll be working with site selectors that basically make the introduction between us and a vice president of a company, and that vice president's not a site selector, but they got the job to go find a way to expand their presence in Texas, and they lean on us really heavily. That's why we produce a lot of these analytic data. We've had heads of corporations who've said, man, can you give me a comparison between San Angelo and 5 other cities in the Southwest United States? And we'll do it just to help them. And usually that kind of a gratuity actually pays off, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
but
infrastructure cost can have a substantial impact on feasibility.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, it can mortally damage a company if they make a wrong decision, and that's what we tell these corporations we deal with. We're not here to broker you. We're not going after a win just to say we won. We want this to be right for the company.
Yeah.
Man, we don't want to call in 3 years saying, hey, man, we love you guys, but, man, strategically, that tactically looked good. Strategically, it just didn't work. We want to get that vetted out early. And that's just transparent honesty with these companies we work with.
The business analytics and strategic intelligence.
Yeah, I can address that.
That's probably work that Mike did previously.
Yes. I am presently working with him on seeing if, on a contract basis, that's something that he wants to continue to do for us.
Okay.
And it looks like, that conversation's maturing very well. We do have 2 main sources that we utilize. One is called Local Intel, which is based up in Vancouver, Canada, and the other is Moody's Analytics. And these they're not just 2 companies. Each company they collate data points from hundreds of different sources. and they make it in kind of an easy-to-digest, deliverable package. And so what we would do internally is we would customize all that information in a consistent, readable format so that we could look back, tell that story, not just to you, but to the companies we're working with, but also that gives us a good vector on where we are headed as a community. Now, these two companies in particular that I just named, they can produce some of that material for us because they do it for a lot of economic developers. A lot of economic development operations don't have or didn't have the same luxury that we had with Mike's very high degree of focus and acumen on analytics. They don't have it. So these companies can provide something for an economic developer that might not have the ability or even the knowledge of how to put those kinds of tracking reports together. But that can be done either way. And so that is progressing. And then the administrative support, which that position, that partnership position handled, not a lot, but it was certainly maybe 5% of that position's time is being done by Crystal Glaspie, who serves as the administrative supporter for the Economic Development Department. She is a chamber employee, handles all the admin support, finance and accounting internally for the chamber, but also assists us as one of the 4 divisions of the chamber. So we get that service at no additional cost. Very, very helpful. Just to keep compliance, finance, policy, tracking, budget assembly, budget tracking, just to kind of help us along and make sure that we're staying within the vector that we want to be, the guardrails. It's very, very helpful. So that what we've got that component handled internally.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the outsourcing, I've got a couple of questions that I'd like to ask our legal counsel about our agreement with the chamber before we take action on this. If that's okay with the board, I'd like to consider maybe taking it into an executive session for some of those questions.
Can I also add that
Yeah.
Moody's Analytics, Kimura, which is a labor force analytics package that we use, Jobs EQ, that's part of the Moody's package, Local Intel, so basically it's Moody's and Local Intel, and then GSLI is a site selector guild that we are members of based out of Dallas, Texas. We've been members since 2014. And that is a lead generation pipeline that we work with all the time on finding opportunities and being revealed opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't see. And only on one occasion were we communicating with a company organically that they sent to us as a lead. Only one time. So we find that very valuable. And that is also someone that we've contracted with for years. So there are contract services that we utilize presently, but we are very interested in collaborating with the DC on those contracts, renewal of those contracts, and new opportunities, because the marketplace for assistance contracts and assistance packages, external packages to assist municipalities and economic developers continues to grow. I mean, I get a call a month from some new company using AI-based technology designed to assist economic developers, municipal developers. So it moves really quickly. And so we wanted to talk to you all about that, and we can do that however you like.
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion to move this topic to executive session, and I'd like to second that.
Okay. Do we need a motion, Holly, to take that into executive session?
I don't think we need
I think you just can pull it in.
I don't think we need a motion. I think we just take it into executive session and
okay with
vote
that?
coming out.
We'll go ahead and pull that into executive session.
Ivan, we didn't want to cut you off. If there's anything else that you wanted to
No,
add
that's
before
it.
we... Okay.
The mission continues. Let's just keep plowing forward.
Okay.
We're on.
Thank you.
We're hot. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Michael, we really appreciate your time. and effort put into this. We know you had a limited amount of time to get this done, and it's great. This is a great little packet. It's good. We can digest this. I'm with Travis. I've got a couple of legal questions based on the way the contract is currently written, but this is great. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for putting your time.
All right,
into
you
this.
got it, guys.
Thank
We're
you.
on. We're staying on.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move to item D. Consider authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute a marketing contract with Media Advantage LLC for marketing services not to exceed $32,700. Presentation by Ryan Gaddy.
Good morning, Board. Ryan Gaddy, Economic Development Director. This item was considered at the last board meeting, and it was tabled until this meeting. And so what we're presenting again is the continuation of an agreement that had expired last October the 1. And so what we're requesting is approval of an agreement amount that's consistent with the agreement that expired before. The 32.7 is what has been allocated for advertising services for the past 3 years. And it consists basically of $10,000 for the business plan competition support, the various aspects of trying to gather some really strong candidates for that program. It includes $5,000 for the preparation of the COSA DC annual report, which is due like in the first part of May. It includes overall advertising of $15,700, and for different aspects of basically awareness type advertising, and that amount equates to about $1,300 monthly. And then we have about $2,000 that is associated with Downtown San Angelo magazine advertising for our BREP focused program. So the total base marketing plan is 32.7, and that's what we would request approval for at this time. And Andy is here if we have any questions, any specific questions, but so.
We have any questions, concerns, thoughts?
I'm looking at the total base marketing plan, 32.7, and then it says total annual budgeted amount, 38.7. So I'm assuming that's what's in our current budget?
Correct.
Okay.
And the 6,000 is for the website maintenance that was included in a different agreement.
Okay.
And that agreement is current, so it doesn't
So
require.
it's not part of this, really?
I'm sorry?
It's not really part of the
Right.
the work that Andy's doing?
Right.
But is it part of the,
It is part of
It
the
is
work I'm
part of
doing.
Andy's.
It's just a separate agreement. We're renewing this agreement for the 32.7.
okay,
And so that 6,000 is covered in a separate contract that's still current.
got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
We've got just before we'll go ahead and take a second. Second. We have a second. So we've got a motion, we have a second. One clarification is the date, implementation date of this contract. We needed to clarify, so this, my understanding is we can retroactively put this back to October 1st,
Yes, you can.
2025.
I would amend my
Yes,
motion to
we were
reflect
prepared
that.
to present at that time, and we're told that we couldn't get on the agenda, so.
Appreciate that.
We've been waiting this long to be on the agenda.
Appreciate that. So
I modified that to backdate that to the October 1st date.
Okay, motion to approve the dollar amount as presented with the implementation date of 10/1/2025. We have a second on that as well?
I was second, yep.
Second that amendment as well. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Andy, we appreciate the work put into
Yeah.
this. I think this answers a lot of questions that we had.
Thank you, Andy.
On the last meeting, so thank you. So with that, we'll go ahead and go into closed session. It is 9:24, February 11th, 2026. Executive session under the provision of Government Code Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirement that meetings be open under the following sections. A, Section 551.072, deliberations about real property regarding sale of 8.48 acres to DLH Real Estate LLC. Again, 924.
Pulled into executive session, I believe. I'm having to do it off the top of my head, but I think it's 551.071. Is that for consultations with attorney?
Okay, so we'll go ahead and also pull item C off the regular agenda. We'll pull that into executive session. Presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Division's marketing and recruitment plan and associated professional services agreement, including possible financial considerations under Chapter 551070.
I believe it's 071. I will
071.
clarify that. I'm kind of going from memory.
Okay. All right. We are now in executive session. Okay, it is 10:15, February 11th, 2026. We're now coming out of executive session. The follow-up and administrative issues, consideration and possible actions of items discussed in closed session if needed. There weren't necessarily any action items, but we did want to come out of an executive session, again, with the appreciation of the work that was done and the proposal that was submitted. Great work on all of that. We will not make any contract adjustments, amendments at this time. We'll kind of float through the year and see where we're at. But with that being said, what we'd like to do and request is formally request quarterly financials with the presentation, just to kind of let us know where we're at. And once the structure does come into place, we can, pivot if we need to and where that's at. Also, we'd like to, when we approved the contract initially, there was essentially a supplemental document that provided a budget, per se. So if we could get a revised budget, just to kind of show us the path moving forward.
Any reallocations, pivots?
Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure, because it's all kind of changing, and so just to give us a clear picture of kind of where we're going, but.
I think that's a really good idea, doing a quarterly financial we can look at together. Michael, maybe gone in a moment. I think it's a great idea, because what that does is that allows us all collectively to really not just use external KPI metrics, but it allows us to look together at internal metrics. And that's a big part of it. It's kind of like, okay, we see what you're doing in the field. What's your fuel consumption like? Do you need more? Do you need less? Do you need it in other areas? I 100% support that. And I think that really helps us with guiding this mission going forward for the next 10 years. So that we, and you can just tell the director how we want to do that, whether we go VFR direct over to Tina or everybody, whatever manner you want that in.
Sure.
No problem. That's a great idea.
Perfect. Thank you for
Yep.
that. Appreciate your understanding of that. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts on any of those items that came out of executive session? All right, we'll move on to the item B, announcement and consideration of future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items? Seeing none. So we need to adjourn, my understanding, we need to adjourn this meeting. And then we'll move over. So I've got a motion to adjourn. Got a second from Director Lewis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned 10:17.